This is the Simply Home podcast, Ladies Who Build, a podcast for women by women. This is Ashley Wainscott
and Michelle Mullins. After spending the last 10 years revolutionizing the construction industry and raising the bar of the contracting world, we are inviting you on our journey as we continuously learn how to be extraordinary and thrive in this industry. Now come hang with us. Welcome to episode 17 of the Ladies Who Build podcast. Today we are talking about how do plans impact your renovation, and we have a lovely guest with us joining us today. But first, I'm going to briefly go over the key summary points, which are the importance of plans and how it impacts the renovation, being really decisive when you're creating your plans and going through your project, the accuracy of plans, what does that look like, and the types of plans that exist and the lingo that exists within them. You would think that plans are really simple, but no, sirree, they are not. So we're going to dive in today and just talk about all the juicy things that includes when going in your renovation.
Yes, so our special guest today is Dustin Gragg, and it's not very often I say his last name because I just call him Dustin. So I'm introducing him because he has a very unique and special background and has taught me a lot about plans, and not only just the building of plans, but how plans shape a project and how impactful they are from the beginning of the project to the very, very end of the project, when it starts with a design and a vision, but then it turns into something tangible that you can see and touch. So without further ado, I am introducing Dustin Gragg, who is our project estimator here at Simply Home, and he's going to talk about his background, and then we'll get into it.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for having me. It really is a pleasure to be here. So a little bit about myself. I grew up here in Round Rock. I went to the University of Arlington for architecture and anthropology. And after graduating, came back to the Round Rock area and took my CAD certification at Austin Community College and started work as a telecommunications route drafter in Georgetown. So doing pole counts, rough utility lines and things like that, power poles. And that was actually on a contract basis. And so when my contract ended, I went to work for friend's father's civil engineering company. And so fair warning there, he told me, we don't do anything above ground, and so you might get bored, and he was correct. And so eventually found myself at a stone manufacturing company in Liberty Hill. Grew quite a bit there, but really had some great teachers in the CAD respect, and so really set some high expectations, gave me some great guidance, and set a great foundation for my understanding and plans and things like that. And so worked as a drafter initially, took on some admin roles, but then also some 3D modeling and CNC programming for production runs. So
what does CNC mean?
Computer pneumatic. You put me on the spot there. So
It already sounds over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's essentially computer-controlled fabrication, and so it can run straight cuts. It'll cut really organic carvings, 3D sculptures, things like that. But the best way I can explain it is Gothic churches, right? It's a high level of detail, flutes, crown molding, Doric, Ionic, Corinthian columns, those sorts of things, to just extremely custom. And so that's kind of why I went to architecture school, right? To get into that kind of monolithic, heavy, ornate work. And then found myself there. Luckily, didn't have to become an architect to do it, but also felt myself needing to grow. And so fortunately enough, found Simply Home and was welcomed into a really incredible team. And so I've been here for the last year and a half, coming up on 2 years. So that's a little bit about me and where we are now.
And I've forgotten some of the things that you've done even before working with stone and, honing in on all your drafting with all that. I had forgotten about your previous history.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. My wife thinks I'm a little all over the place, but I describe myself as like a maker, right, or a creative. I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't want to put my career on the line with my artistic talent, right? So I like to create, I like to make, and so architecture was like a natural direction, and then anthropology was just sort of, I've always been a National Geographic dork and curious, so why not take your electives in anthropology? So I did.
Nice. I feel as if everything you've done, I mean, obviously it has because of what your background comes from. But when you first joined, I remember I was very excited, obviously for other things, but that you knew and understood CAD drawings so well. And because that was something we really not lacked, but just something that we really wanted to build out in the company instead of having to always rely on third parties for it.
Yeah.
And so I remember when you came in, it was just like this breath of fresh air because we were like, wait, no, we actually do know what that is. And we're going to help you build it out. So granted, that wasn't what we had brought you on originally for, but it was so nice that you just had that background and can come in really nicely when working with it.
Yeah, it was a second bonus, right? Again, such a lovely place to fall, but also knowing that these other skills that I also had and necessarily wasn't being brought into the team for could benefit everybody and also be a resource in that way. I think the entire company seems to be in that mindset, and so I think that's why we really worked so well and so quick to pivot and grow in a good direction versus just kind of trying things, right? We're very I think Guy said engaged, or is that what Guy said? We're very...
Maybe, but I like it.
Yeah. I like it too.
Well, in our process with our clients, but also with our team members and our trades, right? If we're always trying to learn, and we very much have this tenure, but we're also eager to learn still. So I think that's a breath of fresh air, and in an industry where people kind of go, this is how things have to go. We're giving that opportunity to our clients and giving them a little bit more say than maybe they were expecting.
I do always feel more confident when Dustin's in the room, especially when we have some intricate plans that come our way. And again, that's not my background in history, so it's nice that we all complement each other of what we bring to the table, because I do feel more confident. And there will be things that you say that are way over my head as your unofficial title is CAD Dad.
I was just about to say, and please tell everybody what your nickname is.
Well, I have the trophy, so it's CAD Dad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I wear with pride.
I was going to ask one question before we dive into, our specific points, but what do you think in your experience of you being a creator and a maker, do you see individuals who are really good at CAD drafting being like having those skills and being interested in those things? Like, does that make someone a good CAD drafter? Or what do you think if somebody's interested in it, what kind of skill sets or behaviors?
That's a great question, and it really kind of plays into what we're talking about, and it's planning, right? You can think of plans and designing or modeling as playing around or designing, or you can come with it from a very serious direction, and these are the parameters that I have. This is the space that I'm working in, which is very much the case with our business and our day-to-day. And so it kind of depends on the arena you're in. If you're just trying to make a one-off product or a ring or something, you can very easily sort of muster through free design plans and things like that. But to do what we're doing is really future planning and considering all other risks or options as well. We're not designers, but we do want to consider the best potential for you, considering budgets also. Right, design is a very important part of it. You want to be proud, and you want to enjoy the way that space looks, but budget is also a very heavy backbone in this entire process for our clients and us. And so being able to design within that budget and give them that confidence is a great strength that we give. And I think it removes a big bag of angst from our clients as well. We can confidently tell them that this is where you're going to land, barring any unforeseen issues with the existing structure or shifts in your design. And we really do our best to sort of get our clients to become decisive in the very specifics that we need beforehand. And plans are a big part of that. The project plans.
So, like, very high level, for those who don't know, what is a CAD drawing?
So CAD drawing, it can be generally, so plans can be drawn, but a CAD drawing is a computer assisted design. I'm sure I've messed that.
That sounds right.
What is that? No, it's.
Should I Google it?
Yeah, Google it really quick.
Well, I didn't think you were going to answer that, but I like it.
But it is. So it's CAD is computer assisted design software.
Computer aided design.
Computer aided design software. So, what CAD is? It can be AutoCAD or Autodesk is a suite of design programs. Rhino is a 3D modeling software. And there's a huge array of others. SketchUp is a free one. They also have a paid version. But CAD is essentially computer-aided design software. And you can use it as an amateur. You can use it as a professional, and professionals can use the free software, and amateurs can purchase the subscription software, which is sort of cost prohibitive, but the technology these days is certainly available to everybody if they want to invest the time and effort to understand it. But again, that is something that we kind of bring to the table as a resource for our clients.
And then what are the different types of plans, such as elevations and as-built and demo plan? Like, what are all the different plans that you can build in a CAD drawing?
Can and should. So yeah, it's context, right? So the more information you have, the better. We do have the good fortune and challenge of working in existing spaces oftentimes, and so we have a context, but you want to make good records of what you're working in, where you're starting from, and where you're going to. And so your as-builts are exactly that. It is as the structure is built currently. Your demo plan is going to define of the as-built what is going to be demoed or removed. And then your proposed plans show or indicate what you intend to design or build or shift. So in that respect, your as-built is pretty well defined, right? That's not going to change. Your demo plan will change depending on your design. And hopefully by the time you've come to us, your design is sort of 95 to 100% pinned down. And within that range, we can shift and adjust things, but still provide you a fairly accurate range to expect for your project scope. So
I was going to ask too about elevations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, when you're looking down at a room and you're looking at the as-built, the demo, the proposed, the electrical plan,
Mm-hmm.
but then the elevations are if you're standing in the room and you're looking at all the details as they're built out. So how the tiles laid out, where the mirrors placed, where the switches are, electrical, just talking through like what those are, the intention of those.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be familiar with your space, and so as I said before, part of the as-built is to give context of where we're working or where we're starting from. But the elevations really kind of give you that feel that the space is going to look like. You're standing in the space, you're looking at the wall. Some fun ones to look at are reflected ceiling plans, and that'll kind of get your brain twisted around. And we use those for oftentimes the electrical layout, but there's some other uses as well. But elevations really give you the gist of that personality, the aesthetic of the space, what the cabinets are going to look like, and the plans are really going to give you the fit and finish, the layout of how things go. And so elevations are going to be, hopefully, if you've given us enough insight, we're going to be able to lay out your tile in such a way that we have that future insight, and we can get in front of poor tile layouts, or the small cut's going to be on the window, and either give you the option to accept that, or oftentimes it's not our standard, and so we will resolve that in planning. But again, the part of the clients being decisive in their planning prior to our plan development is that we can give them this insight and give them the opportunity to make those decisions, what they're okay with, what they're not okay with, and that level of expectation, so we're all on the same page. Everybody knows what things are supposed to look like, and when they don't look the same way, we can hold any trades or vendors or fabricators to that standard that we've conveyed to them. So, yeah.
What, as a homeowner, what if I came in and said, I don't need plans, I can tell you where everything goes myself?
That's totally fine, but budget really shouldn't be an issue if that's the case. As a client, the reason being is if you come to us and you say you'd like to replace the flooring in your dining room, and there aren't plans available, your home is not of a standard layout, and it happens to be twice the size of a standard dining room. So you have a 14 by 30 foot dining room, right? You have a great room. You essentially turned your living room into a dining room. I'm going to assume in my estimate, because of the little information you provided me, either there isn't a listing on Zillow available for me to look at, you didn't share plans, inspiration, or photos of the actual space. As an estimator, I have to make some assumptions. And so because your space may be unique, my assumption isn't going to be that this is a unique space, because I want to give you a fair range. And so because of the limited information, if I tell you that replacing your floor is going to be between $10,000 and $20,000 barring material, that is an absurd range, right? We would provide a narrower range. But then in fact we come on site and your flooring is twice that, then you can expect twice that in not necessarily labor costs, but roughly a significantly higher cost for the same space that we were talking about originally. And so having that honest conversation about the realities and the truth of the space and the project that we're all discussing, plans really hold us all accountable and bring us to the same goalpost.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think plans are the area in which they provide black and white understanding for all parties, and it prevents the gray area for miscommunications and errors and unknowns. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't prefer to enter into a very large costing project knowing that without these plans, I would be causing, it's essentially a setup for fail. And that's why we require them at Simply Home. We require that every project have plans, even if it's I'm changing my backsplash tile or I'm just redoing a few things in my kitchen, but it's staying as is. We still want to know if there's electrical moving, the tile layout, things like that. They're just also important to get us from the vision to the end of the project. That's what I would say back.
Yeah, and I would add on to that, it's not necessarily setting you up to fail, but certainly increasing your chances of disappointment, right? Because our understanding isn't coming from the same place. We aren't making the same assumptions. So the more context you can share, the more decisive you can be about your project, the more settled your plans are in terms of layout and materials, the more accurate and more confident you can be in the ranges that we share with you.
Yeah, I think It's funny to me when people, because obviously you have to educate and people need to understand the importance of plans, but I think that this is such an important topic because sometimes people don't, and they don't maybe want to make the investment, or they think it's not needed. But it's even on the project management side, how many times vendors or partners will come in and say, well, where are the plans? Well, what do the plans say?
Mhm.
And so they don't really care what you have to say. They want to see what the plans say, because that's what we're all going off of. So it's really, it's like, it literally is your guiding post for how the remodel is going to turn out. I mean, it's just like so important. I mean, even to your point, even for a tiny backsplash replacement, I'd be like, I need plans. I don't ever want to assume, you know?
Absolutely. And don't you want to have that decision right about how the tile should be laid out? And really all it takes is you being decisive about the material that you want and where it goes in a timely fashion. And if we're developing your plans, then we can give you that insight. This layout is going to create an undesirable cut, or because of this specific layout, it requires this additional work. We can be honest and upfront about that with you guys. You aren't surprised about it. The cost isn't a surprise, and we don't have to pause the workflow.
Yeah, and think about what plans, this just came into my head. This is very spontaneous, but think about what plans give us that others may not think about from a day-to-day. Countertops, for example, knowing where seam layouts will be, because we know the exact dimensions, we know the overhang the client wants, we know the thickness, we know everything from that up front. So we're able to, one, have budget conversations of how many slabs they need. They want to do a waterfall down the side, but they know exactly what they're going to get and where seams will be up front. And then cabinets, you know, how they're going to utilize their cabinets. Without plans, it would be really hard to know, oh, I can't actually get a bank of drawers over there because I don't have enough space. What would be more useful? Should I move the range over further to the right? You know, what are my options and how can I best utilize my kitchen? But it'd be really hard to accomplish that without plans.
It's a lot of guessing. And so that again, like I started talking about myself, right? I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't want to put my career on my talent. I love the accuracy and the precision of CAD, right? A line is straight if you want it to be straight. It can be a curved polyline. You can tell it the chord length or the radius of these things. And so that insight into the materials that are going to be needed is also an insight that you can get, which we provide for you, but it gives you greater decision rights into, well, maybe we do want to spend the extra $1 per square foot on our countertops. And you know, we're really talking about 20 square feet. And so you can end your project knowing that you made all of these considerations and you don't have any shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Your coulda is the plan development. And so this is your time to think about what works best for you and what is the reality of your budget aligned with the scope. But really, it comes down to giving you the decision. If you don't make a decision, we will, or the trades will, and it may not be aligned with what you were assuming.
Amen.
So
you don't want us making your decisions for you.
Not well. I think we have a higher standard, and so but than the average Joe, right? Yeah. And so we certainly code is sort of minimum for us, but as a customer, you want to have every decision that you can have.
Creative
and so just telling us, you know, the materials and the aesthetic, being decisive in terms of what the scope is. These plans represent your goal, the aesthetic that you're after, the scope, and the improvements to your spaces that are important. And so it's important that these are captured in your plans and conveyed to the respective trades. And so these experts and professionals and master tradesmen, plumbers, electricians will give us the knowledge that their tenure has gleaned and keep us straight and get in front of any errors or inform us of any issues so that you have that decision right again, and nobody's deciding for you.
And you know what plans have always done for me is created an opportunity or space for me to really look at the whole project rather than just thinking about electrical or thinking about drywall as separate things. How do all of the elements impact each other? So, okay, if we do put that electrical over here, it is going to take more drywall, or we will need more drywall repair. And then is that going to impact, where the plumbing vent may be? And, then you start to think of how they're all working together, not as individual siloed elements.
Absolutely, yeah. The everybody's working towards your goal. Your plans are going to have language sort of directed specifically towards important trades. Well, all of your trades, but there will be specific language that each trade's going to be looking for. Plumbing wants to see center line of plumbing. Framing, we're showing rough openings of doorways, or bottom of joist, top of header, bottom of header, finished floor, these sorts of things. And so you may not understand it as the client, but the language is important. The conversations that we're having with you are, being conveyed to our trades and our CAD department, which is implementing these goals and these visions into your plan, so that again we're all aligned and working towards the same goal and getting in front of any potential issues that again we could have seen coming.
Right. Yeah. What would you say? So what do we do when designers, like if a client has a designer that does their own plans and they come to you and say, well, we already have our own plans. What's your typical protocol with that?
The first thing I would ask is if they're dimension plans, like I led to about the exaggerated dining room example, right? That's not so much going to be that will not be a case for your dining rooms on each project. You won't see an inflated square footage in that way. But if you're considering doing a whole home, 10 square feet, missing a closet of 15 square feet, the hallway of 30 square feet, this material difference from preliminary estimate to actual, if our preliminary estimate is based on a designer's plans which aren't drawn to scale or dimensioned based off the reality of the built space, then the client is being set up for disappointment. We're not aligned with the reality of the space, and we will align your preliminary estimate with the reality of the space. We need to make sure that we're telling you to order the sufficient material, or that we're providing sufficient material. And so we're not skewing project costs in that way. We're very much on the same page and on the same team in trying to find accurate material costs, accurate square footages, accurate representations of your goals and your aesthetic tastes.
When we think about like accuracy of plans, we think of all of the things that could go wrong. In my opinion, we've seen those things come up before when we work with specific designers that provided plans, but they didn't meet all of our requirements, because we have a list of requirements now. If you're going to provide plans, that's great. Here's what they have to have on them. Otherwise, our CAD specialist who's on staff is going to be providing those, and we'll fill in the gaps wherever they can't provide. But, I guess talking about like how that impact can be seen when plans aren't accurate, and
cost to the client is the first and immediate thing that comes to mind. But also, we're building a team for your project as well. And so if the team that we build for your project also feels like they've been misled a little bit, right? Or there's unnecessary difficulty because you're changing your minds and going back and forth, they might choose to not do your project. Outside of going back to materials, I would say it goes to decision rights for the clients, right? If they're We've dealt with several clients that have specifically redone their backsplashes in their kitchen because of locations of light switches that other vendors or other contractors told them could not be resolved or fixed, and we have resolved and found solutions for those. But again, these expectations by the clients were very clearly conveyed, and because of that, we can work to resolve whatever the as-built barrier is. Now our drafting department is making some of these considerations, and we present those plans to you to either approve or use as a better scratch pad versus articulating a design element verbally. We have a visual representation. We can be aligned on what this is and what the changes need to be to meet the goals that you're trying to meet. These plans really give you the opportunity to make all of those decisions that you're really not considering, that are a little bit deeper than I want wood floors, I like this color, I know our windows need to be replaced, and those sorts of elements. The things that, again, will come to mind when you're stepping out of the shower and you shoulda, slab on the shower curb wasn't necessarily a great idea. Or, maybe we should have used Sluter trim because I keep hitting my elbow on that sharp corner of tile. Or, all of these little opportunities to make your voice heard in your design and your project.
Yeah. So basically, there's a whole army behind every client. Nailing down all the details and sifting through all the materials. Like it just takes an army. It really takes a lot of planning and prep, and it's just not like snap your fingers and it's ready.
Silent soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes I wouldn't consider myself silent very often.
I'm a soldier. Definitely.
Yes, I'm like, maybe I'm the one that talks too much.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
pipe down.
Silence is golden.
Myself as well, yes.
Yeah, Dustin and I have the gift of gab.
Okay. Any important notes that we did not hit on CAD? Speak, soldier.
Yay.
I asked for permission. Let's talk about why it's important for clients to be decisive when they're going through these drafting versions.
Mm-hmm.
And to make all the decisions following a process and as instructed versus if you change your mind.
Yeah, and I would say we do a great job of carrying our clients through that process. We just cannot make anybody make the decision, right? And so during this development process, we are asking you to make some of these design decisions and really consider how the space is going to work best for you and your family, while considering at times, the impact to the budget, but the importance of making that decision not under haste or speedily, but then sticking to that decision really kind of carries the predictability of your schedule, your project costs, lead times for materials, and set your project up for you and your project up for a much smoother process and a much more reliable and enjoyable experience.
Should we jump into fun questions? So, Dustin, what's the best kept secret in Austin, Texas?
Personally, for me, again, I'm a creative. I like making things. Austin has a great art and music scene, right? We all know this. But we have a great maker scene as well. Glass makers, furniture makers, clothing makers. So for me, I used to make puzzle furniture. So flat pack, slot together, no nails, no screws, no glues, chairs.
Wow.
And so when I was starting to do this, again, the accuracy and the precision was important to me. So I needed a CNC machine, and there was a place called Tech Shop at that time, which I couldn't really afford their subscription, but they had a water jet machine I used it a couple of times, but there are a number of small maker spaces with their own CNC machines, laser cutters, things like that. And so I would say that's our best kept secret. We have all of these mom and pop shops, furniture makers, and they will set up shops. They have classes for kids in the communities, do architecture events, things like that. So but I think we have a lot of those that a lot of people don't know about.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. I didn't know either, and now I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know that you did not either. I'm just learning all kinds of stuff.
So fun.
Okay, question 2. What is a hidden talent of yours?
Okay, well, I do like making furniture, but I used to skateboard. I wasn't a sponsored or professional or anything, but I was better than most. I haven't been on a skateboard, to be honest, in a couple of years because I'd probably break myself. But I was fairly good. I could hang with the guys, so
I like it. I can see it. Okay, out of all the office supplies, what would be your favorite supply?
I'm gonna be a ruler. Again,
you would be a ruler.
I would be a ruler. Straight edge. You can use it to draw. Perspectives, and I can scale stuff off of it. Again, straight lines, like very organized.
In years.
I know, it just reminded me of a pencil for some reason.
Yeah, I love pencils.
A ruler and a
rulers.
pencil, they go together.
I use a ruler.
Yeah, I have
Justin's
several.
like, I have one.
I have a highlighter.
Oh, he might have one.
Pocket protector.
He didn't say no.
You have a foldable one you keep in your pocket. Okay, next question. What is something positive you've seen in the media world lately?
Again, our youth and the technology that's available to all of us, but really how our youth is really kind of using it is impressive. And I don't think I would have been this aggressive or utilizing technology or the information that was available to me at this age. But I saw an article about a 14-year-old Virginia boy, a young man, I shouldn't say boy, but he invented a very cost-effective I think it costs about $8.50 for 20 bars of soap, but it is an affordable hand soap that can potentially treat skin cancer.
What?
And so the soap, I did this, and I'm going to reiterate this. I don't entirely fully understand what this says, but essentially the soap has agents which reactivate dendritic cells, which boost the immune system. And so skin cancer is often caused because of this breakdown in the dendritic cells. And so by encouraging that immune system and the redevelopment of these dendritic cells, apparently it's a cost-effective, easy way to kind of get in front of skin cancer.
Oh my gosh, and he's 14.
Yeah.
What am I doing with my life? Not curing cancer.
I was falling.
When I was 14, I wasn't doing anything like that.
Nope.
Also, word of the day, dendritic.
Dendritic.
I made sure to spell it correctly.
Yeah, I've never heard that word before, but
oh my gosh. Yeah.
now I know.
Brilliant.
Also,
really
amazing.
It's impressive. I really feel like I'm slacking.
People impress us. Way to go, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Way to go. Okay.
Okay, Dustin, that was amazing. I'm so glad you took us down this journey to understand CAD and plans, because I really think it's not necessarily like overlooked, but I think people just sometimes don't understand the importance of it, because I feel in the past people will say, well, why do I need this? Or is this really important? And I think you really hit a lot of good points of why it's actually needed. And it truly can produce, a bomb remodel. Like, this is what's going to make your remodel amazing. So thank you for providing all of that.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Dustin.
Yeah. Now that you are hooked to the podcast, you are probably thinking, how can I learn more? Well, sign up for our monthly newsletter to see our newest remodels and the best tips for a stress-free home renovation.
With a few easy clicks, you will get to go even more in depth with us as we go behind the scenes with life, projects, and our team. Go to simplyhome.co or the show notes to sign up. See you next time. Bye, y'all.